Bustling markets filled with the riches of the world, ornate palaces with domes shimmering in the sunlight, vibrant Ashura processions winding through the streets of the capital.
This was Awadh, one of the richest provinces in the Mughal Empire, a 12-year state nestled along the banks of the river Ganges. As the heartland of Shia tradition of the Indian subcontinent, Awadh flourished for centuries, leaving behind a rich legacy of Shia art, architecture, and culture. The city of Lucknow, which later became the capital of the kingdom, is arguably second to only Isfahan as a gallery of Shia art and architecture. It is one of the most illustrious chapters in Indian history. Ottoman Istanbul, Safavid Isfahan, and Mughal Lahore dazzled travellers with their splendour in the 16th and 17th centuries. In the early 16th century, India and Persia became great powers under the rule of two prominent dynasties. Shah Ismail I established the Safavid Empire in 1501, which was the first Persian dynasty to rule over all of Persia after the overthrow of the Sassanid Empire by the Muslims almost 800 years before that. 25 years later, Babur became the founder of the Mughal dynasty in 1526. There was a continuous movement of people between China, Mongolia, Central Asia, Persia, Anatolia, and India, thanks to the Silk Road, which facilitated frequent exchanges of commodities and ideas. Since the establishment of the Mughal Empire in the Indian subcontinent, a large number of scholars, poets, travellers, warriors, and other eminent people from the great Safavid Empire came to India with great hopes and anticipation. Persians accounted for a large part of the immigrant population of the empire. They held high positions in all branches of the empire, and the Persian intelligentsia certainly played an crucial role in the organisation and structure of this new empire. More than 400 years ago, an old Sayyid, Mir Shamsuddin, lived in Najaf, Iraq. He was known for his knowledge and piety, and he was held in high esteem by the residents of Najaf. He was invited by Shah Ismail I to visit Persia, and he was appointed as the Qazi, or judge, of Nishapur. His grandson, Mir Muhammad Nasir, married to the daughter of a Turkish vizier of Shah Abbas the Great, and out of that wedlock was born Mir Muhammad Amin, who later became Saadat Ali Khan I, the founder of the Awadh Dynasty. Towards the end of the 17th century, the Safavid dynasty was beginning to decline after nearly 1.5 centuries of glorious rule. Sayyid Shamsuddin's descendants, who had been enjoying royal favour, were now in danger of poverty. Mir Muhammad Nasir tried his luck in India like many other Persians in his time. The Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, whose life was one constant attempt at exterminating Shias, had died, and his son, Bahadur Shah, who was known to possess strong Shia leanings, ascended to the throne, which encouraged Persian Shias to migrate. Near the end of his life, Mir Muhammad Amin left his ancestral homeland for India in the year 1707. He travelled to southern Iran, where he embarked on a ship bound for Bengal on the eastern coast of India. From Bengal, he went to Patna, where he finally settled down. After this, he travelled to Delhi with his older brother in search of employment. Later, he and his brother were employed under a fellow Persian Sayyid, Sarbuland Khan, who was a garrison commander for the Mughal Empire. This marked a turning point in his life. His determination and skills eventually led him to rise through the bureaucratic ranks of the Mughal administration. He served as governor of Agra, the city which houses the infamous Taj Mahal. Throughout his years, he put down rebellions and fought wars against enemies of the Mughal Empire. Eventually, he was appointed as a Nawab of Awadh. Unfortunately, he didn't have any sons, and therefore the Nawabs of Awadh are descended from Saadat Ali Khan through his eldest daughter, who was married to Safdar Jung, the second Nawab of Awadh. Over the course of the 134-year rule of the Shia dynasty, there were 11 Nawabs spanning from 1722 to 1856, when the British East India Company annexed the state. For the sake of conciseness, we will only focus on the lives of 3 of the 11 Nawabs: Nawab Shuja-ud-Dawla, his sons Nawab Asaf-ud-Dawla, and Saadat Ali Khan II. The reason we have chosen these Nawabs is because they were the patrons of the arts, and they all heavily invested in their state. Starting off with Shuja-ud-Dawla, born on January 19th in the year 1732, at a mansion in Delhi. Shuja-ud-Dawla was the son of the Mughal Grand Vizier Safarjung. A Grand Vizier, or Wazir-i-Azam, is a senior official, often the de facto prime minister in many Islamic states. From an early age, Shuja-ud-Dawla displayed remarkable abilities to lead his subordinates, a skill that would later see him emerge as the Grand Vizier of Shah Alam II. Shuja-ud-Dawla ascended to power as the Nawab of Awadh and the Vizier of Delhi on October 5th, 1754, and his reign was marked by significant events such as the Third Battle of Panipat and the Battle of Buxar. The Third Battle of Panipat took place between the Muslim Durrani Empire from Afghanistan and the Hindu Maratha Confederacy in the year 1761, when Shuja-ud-Dawla was almost 30. Since he was a Mughal Prime Minister, he commanded a sizable army of Mughal troopers, and he played a crucial role in the battle by cutting off the supply line of the Hindus. The battle lasted for several days and involved over 125,000 troops, and it ended with a Muslim victory. The Battle of Buxar was fought between the British East India Company and the Mughal Empire, and the states within it, such as the Awadh and Bengal, who both had Shia Nawabs. The battle took place in 1764, only 3 years after the Battle of Panipat. Shuja-ud-Dawla was one of the key participants in the battle, and his large army joined forces with the Mir Qasim and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. Despite all of these large armies, they lost to the British East India Company and were forced to sign a treaty granting the East India Company rights to collect revenue from Mughal territories. Shuja-ud-Dawla had a keen interest in the arts and architecture, and he was fascinated by the potential Western portraiture to project his own authority. He moved to Faizabad, where he painted an impressive series of portraits of himself and his family. His son, Asaf-ud-Dawla, was the fourth Nawab of Awadh, and he left an indelible mark on Awadh. His life was marked by a deep commitment to the well-being of his people and a passion for the arts, architecture and culture. Born in 1748, he succeeded his father in 1775 and shifted the capital from Faizabad to Lucknow and built a large number of monuments and public buildings. Asaf-ud-Dawla is most known for his construction of the Bara-e-Mambara. We will talk about this later. Asaf-ud-Dawla encouraged the development of Urdu literature and supported the work of renowned poets like Mir Taqi Mir, who was in his court. Asaf-ud-Dawla's brother, Saadat Ali Khan II, the sixth Nawab of Awadh, succeeded his half-nephew Mirza Wazir Ali Khan to the throne of Awadh in 1798. He was crowned in 1798 at the Royal Palace in Lucknow. In 1801, the British East India Company concluded a treaty with him which ceded half of his dominions to the company in return for perpetual British protection for Awadh. Saadat Ali Khan built several grand palaces and monuments in Lucknow, and he even worked with the British architects often. Great civilizations throughout history have always placed a high value on academics and scientific inquiry. From the ancient Greeks to the great Muslim civilizations, the advancement of knowledge and the pursuit of knowledge have been cornerstones of civilizational development and prosperity. This tradition of valuing intellectual and scholarly pursuits was very much alive in the Indian subcontinent, particularly during the reign of the Mughal Empire when India was most prosperous. The Mughal Empire, renowned for its architectural grandeur and administrative efficiency, was also a patron of learning and the sciences. Under various emperors, the empire witnessed the flourishing of the arts and rational sciences. Libraries, madrasas, observatories, and their likes were established, attracting scholars and scientists from all over the Islamic world and beyond. Following in their footsteps, the Awadh Dynasty emerged as a significant centre for religious and scientific scholarship. Under the patronage of the Nawabs, Awadh and specifically Lucknow became a hub of Shia Islamic learning and intellectual activity. Shuja-ud-Dawla took extensive measures for the propagation and preservation of Shia Islam in his dominion. More than 24 Iraqi and Iranian scholars were assigned for this task, and their salaries were paid by the government. Many of the famous Islamic seminaries were located in Awadh, the foremost of them being the infamous Firangi Mahal. Farangi is the Farsi word for French or European, and the Farang in concern was a wealthy French merchant who was granted a license to work on horses in Lucknow by the Mughal Emperor Akbar. The scholars of the Firangi Mahal, who are said to be descended from Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, consolidated the rationalist Islamic academic tradition from Persia to India. They turned the Firangi Mahal into a hub of learning that drew intellectuals from all over India and as far away as Arabia and China, making it one of India's most prominent centres of study in the 18th century. A certain Mullah Nizamuddin produced the now widespread Dars-e-Nizami curriculum that was incomparable and unrivalled for years to come. It included mathematics, hadith, fiqh, logic, philosophy, and a variety of other fields of study, making it a good mix of both fields of knowledge, maqulat or rational sciences, and manqulat or traditional sciences. Immersion in classical logic and mathematics, including Islamic commentaries and Euclid Ptolemy, was combined with mastery of administrative and civil law. The Nawabs of Awadh had a high regard for Firangi Mahal and nominated many of its students to positions of power. They were highly supportive of the syllabus, as it included works by Iranian philosophers such as Mullah Sadra, al-Bukhari, Ali Jurjani, Bahauddin Amili, and Mirdamad, because they saw it as an enrichment of the Shia religious philosophy. All students are capable of the rigour involved were welcome to enrol, whether Shia, Sunni, or even Hindu. The curriculum had a non-sectarian aspect, as the rational sciences such as mathematics and Avicennian metaphysics could after all be studied by someone from any background. Today it is being taught all over India, Pakistan, the United Kingdom and North America. One famous Shia who studied at the Firangi Mahal was the eminent Tafazzul Hussain Khan Kashmiri. He was a 12th Shia scholar, scientist, philosopher and theologian. His most famous contribution to the sciences in the region was his translation of Sir Isaac Newton's Principia. Kashmiri strikingly exemplified the upper-class Shia gentleman scholar in 18th century India. His grandfather was a great scholar himself and he served under the governor of Lahore. At age 13, he moved to Delhi with his father and studied logic and philosophy under the student of the aforementioned architect of the Dars-e-Nizami curriculum. In Delhi, he also studied mathematics before moving to Lucknow to join the seminary of Firangi Mahal. He had the opportunity to work with the head of the school, whom he asked so many difficult questions that he hurled his book to the ground in exacerbation and expelled Kashmiri from the classroom. Kashmiri then studied on his own and mastered difficult philosophical works by Avicenna in Arabic. After his own research, he embraced Shia Islam and rounded out his education by attending the lectures of Sheikh Muhammad Ali Hazin, making contact with the learned traditions of late Safavid Isfahan. His family's powerful connections allowed him to gain an audience with Shuja ud-Dawla, who appointed him as the mentor and tutor of his second son Saadat Ali Khan, who later became the Nawab. Asif ud-Dawla appointed Kashmiri as an ambassador to the Governor-General of the British East India Company in Calcutta. There, Kashmiri learned Arabic, Farsi, English, Greek, Latin, and obviously he knew the native languages of the subcontinent. That's when he started to translate scientific works of European scientists into Arabic to bridge the gap between the scientific revolution and the Muslim educational institutions. The British who Tafazzul associated with used to give him books in astronomy, mechanics, Galilean kinematics, algebra, conic sections, etc. Kashmiri himself authored 2 treatises in algebra, a book in physics and Western astronomy, a commentary in Conica of Apollonius, a commentary in Conica of Diophantus, and a translation of Sir Isaac Newton's Principia, a book that expounds his laws of motion and his law of universal gravitation, and it is one of the most important books in the history of humanity. Some of these books were taught in the Shia seminaries in the 19th century, Lucknow. Kashmiri enrolled into the class of the Scottish James Dinwiddie, who taught him optics, modern geometry, experimental astronomy, and in exchange, Kashmiri taught Dinwiddie Indian and Arabic astronomy. In Calcutta, Kashmiri also taught Imami and Hanafi law, and wrote on Sunni and Shia hadith and Islamic philosophy. He died in the year 1801. Grants were given to attract Imami scholars to Awadh's major cities. This allowed the ruling Shia family to assert Shia law and rituals in order to strengthen their values in the region. The best demonstration of the opportunities for education available to Shia scholars is the career of Sayyid Dildar Ali Naqvi, who we had mentioned previously. Born and raised in a village not far from Lucknow, he learned Arabic and studied basic texts from a young age. He set out for other towns in order to pursue the rational sciences with individual scholars in the region. Dildar Ali's search for knowledge took him to the Imami philosopher Ghulam Hussain, with whom he studied the rational sciences. After that, he studied cosmography with Tafazzul Hussain Khan Kashmiri. In fact, later, he debated Mullah Hassan on metaphysics. Mullah Hassan being the same man who gave Tafazzul Hussain Khan Kashmiri from his class in the Firangi Mahal. He was financially supported by Awadh's chief minister at the time, and was included amongst his companions. In the absence of Shia seminaries in North Idea, Dildar Ali took his place among an increasing flow of local Shia scholars to the Shia shrine cities of Najaf and Karbala. He set out in 1779 and proceeded arduously through the land towards Sindh, from where he boarded a ship bound for Basra. Sayyid Dildar Ali, like most in North India, was an Akhbari, and he had brought with him a copy of Muhammad Amin Astrabadi al-Fawaid al-Madaniyah, a major statement of the Akhbari creed which attacked classical Usuli writers like Allama Hilli. During the long boat journey up the Euphrates, he made friends with an Usuli Arab Shia who he debated. This was his first encounter with the Usuli atmosphere of the shrine cities, and he found it disturbing. After performing ziyarah of the shrine of Imam Ali, he met with the prominent Usuli scholars of Najaf. After several debates with them, he decided that if he insisted on arguing, he would learn nothing. He moved to Karbala, where he learned hadith with Muhammad Baqir Behbehani, and he threw himself into a study of Usuli works which were very rare in India. Only after a few months in Iraq, he began to doubt Astrabadi's position and adopted the Usuli school. He then sought out Sayyid Muhammad Mahdi Tabatabai and pointed out to him that the Shias of India are deprived of any opportunity to ask a mujtahid. Tabatabai suggested that they must practice ihtiyat. Sayyid Dildar Ali's dissatisfaction with the practice of ihtiyat to the dilemma of Indian Usulis suggests that even he saw the need for religious leadership with the spread of Usulism in Awadh. Unfortunately, due to his Indian background, although his ancestors were Iranians from Nishapur, Dildar Ali had great difficulty being taken seriously as a scholar, and many Iranian students insisted that there were no scholars in India at all, and they found the thought of an Indian mujtahid absurd. After about a year and a half abroad, Sayyid Dildar Ali returned to India, taking a longer path through Iran, and when he returned, he began the task of training a new generation of Shia scholars in Usuli sciences and authored several books. These included Imad al-Islam, a refutation of Fakhr ad-Din al-Razi in the Arabic. His descendants would go on to be called Khandani-Ijtihad, or the family of Ijtihad, since many of his descendants became famous mujtahids in the subcontinent. In the pre-industrial world, the religion of the ruling dynasty became the religion of the masses and a tool for nation building. They had their sovereignty proclaimed in their Friday sermons and in the presence of the grandeur of their mosques. In Awadh, Sunni elites often either adopted Shia Islam or expressed greater love for Ali and his family within a Sunni framework. As Awadh moved towards greater autonomy from the Mughals, the need for experts in Imami law and theology increased. This need was fulfilled by the influx of Iranian and Iraqi Shia scholars. One of the most notable figures whose ancestors moved from Iran to Awadh was Ayatollah Khomeini, whose ancestors migrated in the late 18th century. It was his grandfather who returned to Iran and settled in Khomeini. One of Khomeini's brothers chose for himself the last name Hindi, and Khomeini authored poems under the pen name Al-Hindi, or the Indian. The Nawabs established libraries as well as madrasas. Asad-Dawla, one of the more generous Nawabs, turned Lucknow into a very important centre of Islamic culture and began to challenge the cultural dominance of Delhi. Among the many important libraries in Awadh was the Royal Library, which deserves special mention. Sprenger, an Austrian man who visited Lucknow in 1848, was employed to catalogue the manuscripts in the library, provides us the following description.
I visited the library along with Allama Tafazul Khan. It has books to the number of approximately 3 lakhs, and a servant is deputed for every 100 books. Books of different languages like Arabic, Persian and English. Both prose and poetry were there. There were fine specimens of Indian, Iranian, European and Turkish paintings in such large number that it would require Noah's life to see them all. I had the opportunity of seeing literary books in countless numbers. It has numerous books written in the hand of the authors themselves. On inquiry, the Mutamim told me that it contains some 700 such books. When Delhi was ruined, the greater part of that library came to the Royal Library of Lucknow. The truth is that this library is rare and valuable to such an extent that even the precious stones of the Royal Library can hardly equal it.
The Indians of old were pioneers in the field of astronomy. Many Muslim astronomers, in fact, owe the Indians a great deal of credit, as their work was built on the foundations of knowledge accumulated by Indian astronomers thousands of years ago. To this day, most of the known stars in the night sky have Arabic names which were given to them by Muslim astronomers who themselves translated Persian and Indian names to Arabic. Muslim astronomers took the role of revivers of lost ancient astronomical knowledge of the Greeks, the Persians, and the Indians. The Abbasid Caliph al-Mansur commissioned al-Fazari and Ibn Tariq to translate an 8th century Indian astronomical work which is now known as the Zij al-Sindhind. This was the first of many Indian astronomical works translated into Arabic. In the Shia Hadith corpus there is an explicit mention of Indian astronomers as well. Building observatories was nothing new in the Muslim world. 800 years ago, Nasir ad-Din at-Tusi, a Shia scholar, philosopher, architect, physician, scientist, and theologian, safe to say he was quite the polymath, convinced Hulagu Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan, to build him an observatory which is now known as the Infus Maraghe Observatory in Iran. Likewise, the Nawabs of Awadh built the House of Stars in Lucknow. Lieutenant Colonel Richard Wilcox, a high-ranking credentialed officer in the scientific branches of the East India Company's military establishment, described the observatory as the best equipped in India, on par with Greenwich or Cambridge. In conclusion, the dynasty's unwavering commitment to the propagation of Shia Islam, coupled with their support for a diverse range of scholarly pursuits, fostered an environment where intellectualism thrived. This legacy of Awadh not only advanced Islamic scholarship, but also bridged the gap between Eastern and Western scientific traditions, leaving an indelible mark on the intellectual history of the Indian subcontinent. As we learn more about Awadh, it becomes evident that its contributions to art and architecture are as profound and enduring as its intellectual and cultural legacy. The whole kingdom is littered with majestic palaces and mosques, each structure telling a story of a time when the Nawabs reigned supreme. The future capital Lucknow became a nucleus of architectural innovations and aesthetic beauty. Under their rule, Lucknow turned into a city of unparalleled charm and sophistication, often compared to the great capitals of the world. As I said before, Lucknow is arguably second to only Isfahan as a gallery of Shia art and architecture. This era saw the construction of iconic buildings that have stood the test of time, such as the infamous Bara Imam Bara, which is an embodiment of the religious ethos that defined the region. The architectural style of Awadh is quite similar to the Mughal style that was common throughout the subcontinent. We will cover some of Awadh's greatest architectural marvels one by one. Starting off with the already mentioned Bara Imam Bara. Imam Bara is the Urdu word for what many Shias would call a Hussainiyya, a centre of mourning for Imam Hussein, peace be upon him. The Bara Imam Bara was built during a famine in the 18th century by Asaf ad-Dawla as a means of providing employment to the starving populace. One of the most unique things about the building is that during its construction, the labourers would work in it in the morning and the elites would tear it down at night, only for it to be rebuilt again in the morning. This was done to prolong the construction of the building so that the labourers continued to have a steady source of income for a prolonged time. This continued for 11 years until the construction was finished. It includes a large, hollow, arched hall that is supported by no pillars. This engineering feat was achieved by reducing the weight of the ceiling and making it hollow. Another lesser-known beauty is the Chota Imam Bara. One point to note is that Ibara means bigger and Chota means smaller. The Chota Imam Bara was built in 1838 and was to serve the purpose of being both an Imam Bara and a mausoleum for Nawab Muhammad Ali Shah and his mother. It is built using white marble and red sandstone with intricate carvings and inlays of precious stones like jasper, jade and turquoise. The structure features a gilded dome with turrets and minarets, making it a beautiful blend of Indo-Islamic and Persian architecture. It is by far one of the most beautiful buildings in all of the subcontinent. Right next to the Bara Imam Bara is the Asfi Mosque, built by Asf ad-Dawla in 1784, making it one of the oldest mosques in Lucknow. A masterpiece of Indo-Islamic architecture with no foreign influence. Once again, the Nawabs of Awadh outdid themselves, as Asfi Mosque is among the most beautiful mosques of the subcontinent. Today, it's a popular tourist attraction and a historical landmark in Lucknow. Located in Lucknow, the Shah-e-Najaf Imam Bara built by Nawab Ghazi-ud-Din Haidar is yet another beautiful display of the local Indo-Islamic architecture. The Shah-e-Najaf Imam Bara features one large unique dome that is quite unorthodox in its form and closer to some Ottoman domes. The Imam Bara is named after Imam Ali, peace be upon him, and it also serves as a mausoleum for Nawab Ghazi-ud-Din Haidar and his 3 wives, a true work of art. Located in the heart of Lucknow, the infamous Rumi Gate, also built by Asaf-ud-Dawla, the name when translated into English is the Roman or Turkish Gate, as it was inspired by the Babi Humayun in Istanbul. It is about 60 feet tall and features intricate carvings of flower all over it. It stands in between the Bara and Chota Imam Bara, and it was originally meant to be an entrance to the old city of Lucknow, and now it stands as a symbol of the city's artistic heritage. Lastly, stepping away from Indo-Islamic architecture, we have the infamous Constantia, a palace built by the French Major General Claude Martin, who was an officer for the French and later British East India Company. It is a 6-story structure with a basement that all culminates as octagonal towers at the top. Today, it serves as a campus building of the La Martiniere College in Lucknow, which is evidently a prestigious educational institution. The American Joseph Campbell summed up thousands of years of human civilization in simple words. Joseph Campbell's analogy eloquently encapsulates the essence of societal priorities throughout the ages. Reflecting his words, we can discern the driving force behind the Awadhishi society and the Nawabs by examining their architectural endeavours. Applying Campbell's insight to Awadh, we find that the grand mosques and Hussainiyas scattered throughout the land serve as towering monuments of their faith. These structures stand not only as architectural marvels, but also as testaments to the unwavering commitment of the Awadhi Shia society to their religious beliefs. Each minaret piercing the sky proclaims the centrality of religion in the hearts and minds of the Awadhi people. Awadh is situated in the Indo-Gangetic Plain, making it one of the most fertile places in the Indian subcontinent. According to Marcus Wellesley, a member of the British East India Company, it was one of the most fertile regions in the world. The Nawabs of Awadh taxed the land, which made them very rich. They used this tax revenue to build their palaces and mosques and imambaras all across the territory. Furthermore, they used to send massive amounts of cash to the shrine cities of Najaf and Karbala to fund various construction projects. In the late 1780s, the then Chief Minister of Awadh, Hassan Raza Khan, sent 500,000 rupees to fund the construction of a canal to bring water from the Euphrates to the residents of Najaf. It became known as the Asafiyya or the Hindiya Canal. They continued funding various construction projects in Kufa and Najaf, such as mosques, libraries, and hostels for Indian students. Previously, they had used Iranian companies to send money to Iraq, but when the Asafiyya Canal needed repair, they opted to send 150,000 through the British East India Company. In 1839, they sent 30,000, and the next summer they sent 250,000 rupees just to repair the canal. They grew so comfortable with sending money through them that they started sending letters and religious manuscripts to the shrine cities using British post. Not only did they fund construction projects, but they also sponsored the great scholars of the time, such as Saadat Ali Khan I. Asaf-ud-Dawla alone had sent 200,000 for the mujtahids in Iraq. In return, the ulama referred to the Nawabs as just kings, implying the legitimacy of their government. In the end, I would like to emphasise how important it is to know your history as a Muslim and as a Shia in the modern world. All around us, there is a constant stream of demoralising news coming from the Muslim world, which appears to be in a state of chaos at the moment. Understanding one's history as a community is essential. It fosters a deep connection and love for Islam and the heritage of Islam, which spans centuries. It also helps foster a sense of unity and identity when you look back at a time when the Muslim world was less divided and imaginary lines in the sand didn't mean as much. Your identity as a Muslim and as a Shia transcend European drawn borders and racial boundaries. Nationalism is a disease in the Muslim world, and especially in the Arab world, which is split into various different countries under the philosophy of divide and conquer under Sykes-Picot. Reading one's history enriches an individual and a collective identity, making it a net positive. The Nawabs of Awadh were proud of their Tashayyu, despite being in the Sunni Mughal Empire. In the next video, on the history of Tashayyu, we will talk about the contributions of the Shia to the great Mughal Empire.